Everybody, I'd like to introduce our guest artist tonight, Patty Young. I've known Patty because we paint together. She's in a whole nother level for me, but you'll enjoy this. She's excellent. She's very good. She travels everywhere. It's amazing.
Welcome, Patty Young.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's great being here at a members meeting. I am a plein air painter. I've been painting plein air for a very long time. I make it look easy. I do it because I just love it. And I paint for myself, not commission work, or I paint for myself and I paint to enter shows. The thing I like the best is being outdoors and painting in the fresh air or the rain or the snow. And my equipment that I take out is usually this. It's a nice cart. It holds a lot of art supplies, but what's great about it, it also has a seat to it. And it is extremely comfortable. Painting outdoors takes about anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 at the most to finish a 12 by 18 painting in pastels. And with that, I use this easel. So I sit and have the easel in such a way that I can just paint from it. My pastels, I have a exercise mat I put on the ground to protect them from the damp ground, and I work that way. It works for me. I know there's a lot of artists that have setups that they have a small little box that they have their pastels in. Well, I like to bring a lot with me, so I don't use them all, but I bring them. The paper I use, there's a lot of different kinds of paper out there. This is a Canson pad. It comes in a lot of different colors. And when I first started painting with pastels, this was really the only paper that was available. One side has a rough side to it. It's not very rough. And the other side is smooth. And over the years, I discovered you could use either side. The pastel held just fine. A lot of people are talking about pastel matte. I have never used it. I just bought this. I'm really anxious to start it. But the artwork that I've seen on this is really, really nice. What I use is UArt. UArt comes in different grits. This is a 400, which is what most people use. I personally like 320 because it has the grit is not as fine as 400. The higher the number, the finer the grit. It goes up to 800, so it's pretty fine. The lowest grit is 280, so, or I think 280. Anyway, I use 320. So it comes like this, so it's very flexible. What I do, I order backing boards from Mat Board Plus out in Albuquerque, and I spray the boards with a spray glue, 3M77, outdoors. And then I have laid my paper upside down on my kitchen counter, and I bring the board in from outside and I glue it together. And it holds very, very well, and it makes for a nice, firm surface, and it's easy to frame.
Did you ever try the pastel boards? They sell them now at Hobby Lobby.
No.
They're nice.
Yeah, I haven't tried those. I usually work, okay, another way of working too is you can make your own paper. This had been a watercolor that I didn't like. So they have this fine pumice gel that you can buy and coat the paper with. The thing with this is you really get a rough surface. You add water to this. This is gray, so you do get a tone. Let's see.
So it's like gesso and canvas.
So this is a piece of watercolor paper with the pumice gel on it. So the texture you can see. The back,
What is that gel called exactly?
fine pumice gel from
Gel.
Golden. And you add water to it. You don't use it straight from the thing. And you put several coats on. And depending on how you apply it, will give you either texture, different ways of putting texture on it. So this is a watercolor paper, and this is the sanded UART paper, 320, same picture. So when I'm out, okay, and all of these too, the backing boards, the sleeves that these are all in, and mats, I get everything from Albuquerque Mat Board Plus. They're great, great service, really nice service, and everything that's been shipped to me has come just fine, no bent corners. So the first thing I think about when I'm out there is composition, and I'll go over that of how I plan my painting. I go out there with a sheet like this, and what I do, I put down a coating of pan pastel. Doesn't actually have to be pan pastel. You could use your pastels from your box, but I love pan pastels. When they came out about 6 years ago, I told myself, oh no, I don't want another medium. But since then, they are great. So what I do, I'm going to work with the that's right. So what I do, I usually work 12 by 18. This is 18 by 24. So I won't do the whole thing. I'll just show you how it goes on. And I do this while I'm out there. It doesn't take long to cover the board of 12 by 18, especially if you're using a pan pastel. There's a lot of different sponges that you can purchase and buy, and some of them, they're different shapes. You can wash these out. I don't wash them out, I don't know, maybe once a month or so, maybe less. So I keep using it over and over. But the pan pastel, now why do I do this? I get rid of the original color of the paper. It's so much easier. It's like if you have a white piece of paper in front of you, oh, you don't want to make a mark. This really will help you get over that. So, like I said, it doesn't take me long to cover a board while I'm out there. And then what I do, this is where the composition part comes in. I grid the paper into fifths using centimeters. So I have a great ruler that has centimeters. So you can see the gridding on here. And the reason I do that is it allows me to look at my scene and decide where I want to place the elements in the picture. So I've come down here. All right, wait, I'll show you. I came down here a fifth, so my sky is going to take in a fifth up here. I've come over 2/5. And why I use fifths, what happens with fifths, it gives me great diagonals by the time I'm done. And that's what you want. So, place the paint. This fall, we painted at Green Dance Winery. They are, I looked them up, I forget. They're about an hour from me. It was a perfect place to go paint. We painted here when the apple trees were loaded. They were harvesting the grapes, but they also have a fantastic restaurant and a fantastic wine selection that you can go taste and sample. And then in the afternoon, Marianne and I, we painted again another scene. But this is a great place to paint. But here you can see fifths. I came in a fifth. It lets me get some nice diagonals into the painting. The other thing about painting is painting the same scene more than once. This is out in Albuquerque. My daughter lives out there. Love going out there. So this is her neighbor's yard. And this was when I first started going out there when she bought the house, I don't know, maybe 6 years ago. What's neat about it, I have other paintings of it, but this is this year. And what was interesting is to see how much the foliage and the ground plants had grown. This is the same day, although the wind was blowing. This was called Red Flag Day up there. And so I thought, oh, now I understand what a Red Flag Day means. I also like traveling up to Martha's Vineyard. I go up there in the fall, end of September, October. I've been going up there for a number of years now, so I know the places. Plus, even still, I find new places, but this is one of my favorite places to paint. But here you can see the diagonals. So what I've done is I've come in a fifth for the building. I've come down about, okay, I'm not hitting that fifth line perfectly all the time. It's about a fifth to here, and then 3/5 up, another fifth. This again is up on the vineyard. And here again, when I look at the scene, I knew I wanted to come in about a fifth with the mountain and coming over here 2/5. And this is about 2/5. It just lets me put the stuff in quickly. And I'm not concerned that it's not exactly like I'm seeing it.
That's what I was just gonna ask. So you're adjusting what you're
Right.
looking at.
Yes, yes. And so this was the vineyard this summer. The clouds were amazing, but here again you got nice diagonals by using fifths. This is also on the vineyard. This is their arboretum, which I only visited last year at the very end. So it was one of the places I wanted to go and paint again. And here again, it's the fifths. It's like 2/5, 2/5 of a fifth, about. So, and then this is upstate New York at Adirondacks. I painted there this summer with Eric Rhodes.
Oh, but did you?
Yes.
I've been there twice.
Ah, there you go. I got lost a lot, but that's okay. Many, many great scenes up there. It's amazing. Many, many lakes, and the landscape, and that is fantastic. So on this one, you can see the lines where I marked off my fifths. So this barn comes in about a fifth. It takes up a little bit about a fifth. This tree is in the fifth. So I'm always thinking fifths when I'm out there. Same way with sky. This is probably 2/5 up right here. So that's how I get my composition.
Do you put your lines in first before you go out? Or
I had, but not anymore. Everything now I do is out there. As you can see, this paper, I did not tint. Okay, this is, but I do like tinting. I do tint most everything. So I tint the paper out there, I put the lines on out there. So I make sure I have a roller. If I don't, I eyeball it, and I can usually come up with pretty good division.
Could you please explain how the diagonals are created again? And also, we can't quite see it over here, so
Oh.
if you could hold it up while you're explaining it.
Oh, okay. All right. So here's my lines down here for the verticals. The horizontals start about here.
Maybe back up a little bit so he can see it too. Thanks.
So this barn, you can see, comes into this 2/5. So I have a 1/5, 2/5, and then I have all this running across here. It helps with the diagonals, it really does. Is it a good one? Good.
Was the idea of the fist your own invention?
No, there's a book, Margaret Kessler, and she goes into how to divide the paper up, but she doesn't do the fifths quite like I'm doing, so.
Your take on the fist?
Yeah.
do you spray your work after you're done?
No, I do not spray the work. I don't have a big problem with it falling or smudging. If it does, it's easy enough fixed. So, no, I don't spray. The only time I sprayed is when I did a winter scene, and I took a box grater and grated white over the painting to make it look like snow. I did spray and let the white powder flakes kind of fall on the damp paper. Then I sprayed beforehand. Okay. Now, the other thing when I'm out there, what I'm looking for after the composition, what I am looking for is value, the lights and darks. Painting, for a long time, it was interesting. When I looked at my older paintings, I'm thinking, oh, there's not very many darks in. So now I'm much more aware of darks and how important they are. So it's the lights and the darks that I'm looking at. Also, when I'm doing a scene, I'll do this one. I want to keep the information in and around this area, not on the edges, not on the corners. So sometimes what I'll do is not put very much information along the corners or edges of the painting so that the eye stays inside the painting. This is a place up on the vineyard, but it was a demo for one of the things. And this was also a demo about a couple weeks ago. So here, fifths, nice diagonal. These bushes weren't necessarily like that, but I needed them to lead your eye in. And here again is your fifth coming in, and I've come over almost 2/5, a little more. Like I said, it's not exact. It's just gives me a good idea where I want to do things. Here again, it's 2/5 up. If I change the color, it would be along a fifth.
I have a question. So the markings, like on the areas you didn't cover, how do you get rid of those?
Oh, they'll be covered eventually. This is just
Okay.
so that you could see what I was working on. And they do cover up. I usually use a pastel pencil,
Okay.
to mark it, and then they just disappear. So, like I said, this is, oh yeah, it should be this one. And a good thing, I know when you're out there, you hate to take the time to make a thumbnail, but you know what? That helps so much. So what I did here, I was just trying to show what happens, how I go about the layering. So let's say this one. The plant, I wanted to be the center of interest because I got very tired painting the world. When you're out there, it's very easy to want to paint the world. It's very hard for me to zoom in on something. So what I did, I zoomed in on the sage. So this would have been, I toned the paper was this color. I toned it with pan pastel. I put my grid on, and this is how I would start the painting. I would put the darks in the background. I worked from top to bottom, background to foreground. So the foreground is usually the last thing going in. And the foreground is usually the most difficult for me because, one, I've been there for, say, an hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm tired. The other thing when you're out there painting, get up from your painting, move away from it, take a little walk, come back to it. And it will look a lot different to you, perhaps. So this is more or less completing what I would have started here. Here again, what I did on here, the fifth comes right here at the top of the barn. Trying it out like this in different colors. So here's a photograph of a barn near my house. And I loved it. It's a blue barn. So what I did a black and white of it. Now, your cameras, your iPads, whatever you take outside to photograph what you're doing, has the ability to give you a black and white of what you're seeing. So it makes it a lot easier to be able to see the value. Also, when taking photographs of landscapes, use your telephoto lens, because using just pointing and shooting, your perspective of what you're seeing is going to be a heck of a lot different on that photograph than it is in real life. Also, remember to take photographs close up of what's around you, because if you have to take it back to your studio and finish it, you'll wonder, oh, what was there? So take photographs there. So here's this barn. And what I did is 4 like thumbnails of different color ideas of how to render the painting. That was kind of fun to do.
So which one of those did you favor and move on to? I'm curious, because I don't know if I could pick.
With this particular one, I did do one of Pettinol on Ghost Ranch. I had 4 of them from that, and I did pick another one and then sketched it up. I didn't bring out. Okay, the other thing, if you have a watercolor and you don't like it, and say you want to practice with pastels. Pastels will go over watercolor. I've also put pastels over oils in it, so. Okay. So this is a beginning painting. It's going to be a 9 by 12. It's going to be a gift, a thank you gift. And this is how I will have started it. I sketched it onto the board. I did not tone the paper. And then I just put shades of gray in that to give me an idea of where I want to go with it. Okay. So, the other thing, when you're painting out there, there's a lot of information in these. But think of just shapes. Make it simple for yourself. And think of shapes in 3 colors, a light, a medium, and a dark. Start out with that, and then you can add other colors later on. The other thing, working with greens. There's a lot more colors out there in green than green. There's blues, there's violets, there's rust colors. Incorporate them. It doesn't have to be green all the time. Okay. Oops. Pastels. I have many different pastels. Some are soft, some are real soft, some are hard. There are sets that are called underpainting, where you can use them they're chunkier, they're square, cut rectangle. And what they're good for is putting down a first pass of color. So I'm going to work on this one. Remember to bring something to keep it from falling on the floor. The nice thing about working outside, pastel can fall on the ground. So I'm going to try and do an 18 by 24 painting from a 12 by 12. The ratio does not work. So what I'm going to do is just elongate the one side of it. And this was one from Ligonier from a paint out in September, not this September, a couple years ago. And it's one that I liked, and I've been wanting to make a bigger one. So we're going to try and go with this. At least I'll start it.
Is that something you often do, take one of your pastels and rather than going back to the original photo or something, do you work off of that? As a
Sometimes, yeah. Or from my sketchbooks.
Okay.
So when I first started with pan pastels, what I bought, I didn't buy the whole set. There's some, I forget how many, 300, I don't know. I bought grays, greens, and blues because those are the colors that I use the most. And I felt that they were enough to get me started. So what's nice about this, I can cover a lot of space in a short amount of time. And what I'm doing is I'm just putting down like a first color or a background color. I'll come in with stick pastels. And like I said, I usually do the background, the foreground, but I'm also, these sponges work very well with even stick pastels. So I can use the stick pastels. And I want to repeat a color at least 3 times in various sizes, at least. I can come in with that and go over with the sponge to move it around.
Is that a rule or your rule?
Pardon?
The threes, is that a rule or your rule? To have it 3 times?
Oh, it's suggested.
Okay.
Because what's happening is you want to move the eye throughout the painting. So by repeating the color 3, 5 times.
Right.
Okay.
Patty, are those sponges made specifically for paint
Yeah.
pastel?
Yeah, they are. They last a long time. They do wear out eventually because you're running it on a sanded paper. But, and when you do wash them, they're not going to come back their original color, but they're clean for a painting. So I discovered Blue Earth pastels. Love them. The other thing about pastels, if you're looking to buy a set, half sticks are a very good way to go because they're about the size that you can use making, at least for me, for making the strokes on the paper. Plus, I don't have to take the paper off. If you buy new pastels with paper, it is very, very difficult to break that pastel in half and take the paper off.
That's really satisfying in that box. The colors.
Patty, can you tip the box so we can like see in the?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
this is a set of blue.
That's so
And-
satisfying.
It's beautiful.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah, wow.
yeah, I love it. It's like, okay, I don't have to worry about trying to find the blue. So, and what I like to do is glaze over layers that I've already put on. Because usually a painting is viewed at least 8 feet from the painting itself, unless you're an artist and your nose gets right up to it. At least I put my nose against the paintings.
So that light blue never picks up that dusty brown yellow in the background?
No, because this isn't a lot of pastel at all. It's the pan pastel that
I think they would blend as you're
Right.
going over it.
No, they don't. I can let the background show through. Okay, here's where I will think about my fifths. If I want a clod in here, I'm going to come over here and put it like about here. Like I said, I would be putting this in first, not second. Sky holes I'd put in last. Now, I can also blend with my finger. The thing with blending with my finger, my fingerprints aren't there anymore because it really, after you've done it for quite a while, your fingertips do become sore. But gently, if you want. I don't know if you know the artist Tony Elaine. He's a fabulous pastelist. He uses his fist. So, anyway. So, what I try to do, which never really works out, is the color I put next to the trees at the bottom, that it's one color, that it's not like layered, that I have to go back in and try and figure out, oh, what was that color I used, or how did I get that? But like I said, it doesn't really work. So yeah, these are great. I have neutral, I have green. Let's see if I can Another good pastel company is Mount Vision, and I ordered their green set, since greens are the ones that I use the most. I'm not real happy with the green set, but Blue Earth, on the other hand, has a very lovely set of greens. Plus, they feel like they're not as soft as Saint-Melier, the French one, but they're close. Well, you can see how nicely it goes on the paper. Okay, now, let's see here about this tree. The reason I wanted to paint this was this tree. It was, the background colors were darker than it, so it stood out. But some of the green colors that they put out there seem unrealistic. They just don't feel right. But these feel pretty good. Okay, the other thing about when you're out there painting, the sun moves in 2 hours. It's totally different than from when you started. So an idea to do is put an arrow on top of your paper where the sun is coming from when you first started the painting, so that as you go along, you'll remember, okay, the light was hitting this way.
Patty, is that in that tree, like in a fifth?
It's on a fifth.
It's on a fifth, okay.
Yeah, this one's on a fifth. And I like to try to put it down and leave it. Not go over it too many times, not to smear it too much, not to overwork it. I figure maybe 5 colors at the most. After that, it becomes muddy, or you lose what you're going for. And I always go, if you can't do it, 5. Okay, now the other thing that I liked about this was this field that was coming down here. It was real bright against the dark background. This was a pretty hard subject because there was a lot of, there was a lot going on in the hillside. This is kind of like all wild.
Patty, have you ever done one of your landscapes without color, all black and white?
I did once, yeah.
Okay, seems like you hated it then.
No, it's
You didn't like it?
fun. Yes, it's fun. It was black and grays with a little bit of white, but it also had a little bit of violet in it. But no,
And you only did it once, so you wouldn't do it again?
no, I'd probably do it again.
You would,
Yeah. All right, like I said. Okay, I have. Thank you. And I do have a violet set of it, of Blue Earth. I love purples. Love it. Okay, along with these different sponges, there's shapes in them. What's nice about some of these, if you're doing a building, you can get a nice straight edge with them. But they also have these plastic sticks with little sponge tips that you can get, and they're great too. At first I didn't particularly like them, never used them, but then I got to the point, oh, okay, that works. And it's like the first pass isn't gonna look great. It's, you need to keep working at it. So I can use the pastel in ways that I can get a nice broad stroke, or I can get a line, or even a thinner line if I. So it's good that way. This is up near the watershed in Ligonier. It's outside the town. They have bluebird boxes in the area. There's a lot of weeds in there. So, anyway, hopefully I gave you enough information that you can go out there and paint plein air.
Go out there and sit next to you.
Question, do you plan a particular color scheme, or are you just trying to pull out the colors that you see around you?
I think of compliments all the time when I'm out there. But I try to paint more or less what I'm seeing, although I do push the color when it comes to greens and that. I add the blues and the purples and what have you. But, so that's a start.
We were just saying, we remember what it looked like when you started, and it's like, how did that happen?
That's true.
Before you discovered the pan pastels, did you have a way to get like the background in quick, like turpenoid or water or?
Yes, sometimes. You put down a color. It doesn't have to be the local color, but even a complement, and go over it with turpenoid or turpentine, and yeah. And some papers accept water, some do not.
What was the name of the big block ones that you started for the background?
The chubby ones?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the Diane Townsend.
Oh, those are, okay.
Yeah.
So do you have a set that you travel out with and then a full set in your studio? Like all laid out in every color in order?
Not in order. I'm not an order person, as you can see. I do have everything out in New Mexico at my daughter's. I do not have to take anything out there. And I have, since the company for the backing and the sleeves and my mats are out there, I just put in an order and I go pick it up. The paper I get from, what is it, the Dick Blick or Dakota, and check them because there are different prices. The same paper is priced differently at different companies.
So those plastic sleeves that all come from that place?
Mat Board Plus.
Mat Board Plus.
Uh-huh.
Do they just have the standard size cut mats?
Yes. 18 by 24s, I do not mat, and I put them right up against the glass. 12 by 18s, I mat with an 18 by 24 mat. So I get like, I don't know what the 2.5, 3-inch mat all around. And I also get the thick mat, 80 milliliter or whatever the measure is.
Patty, can we see your lavender? Did you bring your purples?
Yes, I think I,
She's just look at 'em.
that's neutral. Maybe not, because I felt like, oh, I didn't need, no, I didn't bring them tonight. Okay, a neat set from Blue Earth is Drifter. And why that's neat, it has a nice selection that if you're only gonna pay it, it has a pretty good
It's
selection.
called Drifter.
Drifter.
That's the blue,
It's,
Blue Earth.
yes.
It's called Drifter.
Before everybody leaves, thank you so much. Thank you, Patty. And don't forget.